I had one client in South Florida that I remember just being heads over heels in love with the new benefits package we put in place. Now, this was before I started my business and I was working at Trinet. We had a group that was coming from New York. They were on an Oxford plan. They just stopped their other business and did a spinoff and were doing their own big, marketing push. And one thing that was really cool was this guy already had experience with multiple, being at multiple companies, and this was his first venture on his own. So it was really important to him that he took care of his people. He said, more than anything, I want to make sure people are taken care of. And at his last company, right before he left, one of the biggest things he felt bad about was when we left, not when we left the company and we sold it off and they got rid of some of the people, they had to take Cobra. But the Cobra they took was only for what we gave them, which was benefits, dental, vision. I really wish we would have been able to give them more in the package, offer them life and all these other different products, because now they're out trying to get a job and they may be able to afford it, may not. And some of these people that were like I think in Colorado that were paying for the New York level prices for the families, he thought it was unaffordable. So in South Florida, what we did with Trinet was we actually put them on Florida Blue. And because the way Trinet sets up their benefits at that time, they were able to regionally pick and choose different benefits that made sense. So one of the folks was in Boston. It was like an engineer that he really wanted to get that was a high level person that worked at some huge firm out there. And he was able to offer them Harvard Pilgrim and offer the people that were there working in one of their manufacturing firms. They had Florida Blue level plans that were copay driven. They had 401ks. They had HSA for some of the younger people who didn't plan on using the plans, but know they had medical expenses coming up in the near future. They were able to offer, like the United Healthcare in certain areas. They were able to offer Harvard Pilgrim, Kaiser to people in California. So like that was a case where it was such a huge win. And it was really because of the flexibility that Trinet's PEO at that time offered, where you can have multiple carriers on one plan based off of where the employees live. So, that was like something that was very unique, creative, and it really only worked for that specific PEO at that time. There is other PEOs that do something similar now, but I would say that in those scenarios where you really have very specific needs across the country with like a remote team and also an on-premise team in South Florida, like that was just a home run. So I really enjoyed doing that process with him. And he was so stoked. He's like, I'm offering the same things that I got when one of my daughters used to work at Google. She used to have all these cool benefits. I feel like I can ask her to work for me now. And I'm like, oh, well, that's great. And he's like, once I tell them how much to pay, they get all these things and they're just lit up. It's phenomenal. You don't know how. I had 4 people come in my office this week and they told me how great it was. And now some of the people that were on their spouse's plans have jumped over to this plan. So that was like a really cool win for that employer. I've never seen anybody that geeked about like their benefits to date, but he was really excited to take care of people because I think that was just the phase of life he was in. But that was probably one of my favorite wins.